You are standing on a muddy riverbank in central Italy. No marble, no empire, no legions, just scattered huts, thin smoke rising into the air, and a slow-moving river cutting through the land. This is the Tiber, sometime in the mid-8th century BCE, and nothing here looks important. There is no sign that this place will one day dominate the Mediterranean world. And yet, this exact stretch of land is where everything begins. Not in a single moment, not in a dramatic founding, but through a chain of decisions, pressures, and opportunities that slowly converge. The date most often given is April 21, 753 BCE. It comes from later Roman scholars like Marcus Terentius Varro and historians like Livy, who tried to reconstruct Rome's origin centuries after the fact. But this date is not a recorded event. There is no evidence that anything definitive happened on that day. It is a symbolic anchor. A way for later Romans to give their city a clear beginning. The real story is far less clean. It is slower, more uncertain, and far more revealing. Long before Rome existed, central Italy was inhabited by small tribal communities known as the Latins. They lived in a region called Latium, a landscape of hills, forests, and fertile patches of land that could sustain small populations but not much more. Life here was unstable. Agriculture depended on the seasons, resources were limited, and survival required constant adaptation. These were not cities. They were clusters of huts made from wood and mud, housing families that lived close to the edge of what their environment could support. What made this region different was not wealth or power, but position. The Tiber River created one of the few natural crossing points in central Italy. It was shallow enough to ford in certain places, which made it valuable for movement, trade, and communication. To the north lived the Etruscans, a far more advanced civilization with organized cities, metalworking, and complex religious systems. To the south, Greek colonies were spreading along the coast, bringing literacy, art, and new forms of political organization. The Latins were caught between these two worlds, less developed, but perfectly positioned to interact with both. The land that would become Rome was not a single settlement. It was a collection of communities spread across 7 hills, the Palatine, Capitoline, Aventine, Celian, Esquiline, Viminal, and Quirinal. Each hill hosted its own group of people, its own routines, and its own leadership. Among them, the Palatine Hill shows the earliest signs of continuous habitation, with archaeological evidence dating back to around 1000 BCE. Excavations have revealed post holes from huts, burial grounds, and signs of long-term settlement. But these were independent communities. There was no shared identity, no unified political structure, and no sense that they were part of something larger. At some point between 800 and 750 BCE, that began to change.